I only made $20 in my business in December 2024, and exactly 30 days later, in January 2025, I made over $25,000. So this is exactly how I went from zero to $25,000 in 30 days, and it's specific to agency owners and coaches because I've done it for myself, I've done it for another coach, and I've done it for an agency owner as well, who sat right here, Aaron. So the first things first. In business, I want you to forget everything that you think you know because there's a lot of bad information on the internet. On a fundamental level, business is literally you give something of value in exchange for money. But I want to focus on the word value because everyone thinks they know what value is, but they don't. If your product or solution can be found on ChatGPT or on Fiverr or Upwork, it is not of value. Please, please, please understand this. If a normal freelancer or an AI can do your job, you don't have something of value to give. And if you're going to charge thousands of dollars, best believe that no one's going to pay those thousands of dollars if they think they can get the information or the service for super, super cheap or free. And a good way to gauge this, by the way, is think of the 10x rule. If you are going to charge $10,000 for your service, best believe you need to be making them or delivering on at least $100,000 worth of value. And if these big numbers scare you, by the way, quit your business because you need to fix your limiting beliefs that these numbers are big in the first place. So a lot of mental work is done if you think these numbers are too big. But anyway, to go straight into the strategy, there's 3 things that we need to do. There is a scalable offer that we need to build. We need to put together marketing assets, and we need our own exclusive sales process. So to start with, let's begin with the offer. Any idiot can go onto YouTube and search up Hormozi how to make an offer. However, a lot of the time we don't actually think about the deliverables and the back end side of the offer. So again, an easy gauge to kind of figure out what your base offer should look like before you obviously reiterate over time is think about how you got the result. And then I need you to think, okay, if I had to take a 12-year-old from before you got the result to after you got that result for whatever your service is, what is it that you're going to have to deliver? So that's going to be stuff like what type of support level they need, do they need reports, just things like that. And once you have that thing, you now have the front end of your offer, and then the back end of your offer in terms of deliverables on how you're going to deliver that result. So if we take a shift back from the back end of the offer, we go to the front end, we have 4 different things. So your offer needs to be ROI based, meaning you need to give them a tangible result. So if you have a B2B offer, you don't want to say, I will streamline your business and get you more clients. You want to give them a real number. I will get you 5 clients. And then the second point of the offer is you need to have a short time frame. And please make it short because you need people to jump in. So a short time frame with this example offer would be 5 clients in 90 days.
Yeah, so let's say this is someone starting up their first offer, for example, and they were pulling together their guarantee. Would you say it's always best to go with a money back guarantee or some sort of free trial to get a larger group of people in so you can then start to, show results, get social proof, and then charge off the back of that?
So that depends now. It depends on like where you're at with your business. So if we take a look at the front end of the offer again, so there's 4 components to this, right? The ROI based offer, the short time frame. The third thing is you need to remove a deep pain point, right? And I'll get onto your question about the guarantee in a second. So, for example, get 5 clients in 90 days without cold outreach. And I know this is a deep pain point because I've been there where I've been trying to cold outreach, cold DM people, spending hours per day getting no responses on Instagram, and then spending hours per day calling people up trying to sell them something, and I either get sworn at, or it's a simple no.
Yeah.
And it's not very fun. So that's a deep pain point that you need to say, I can get you this result without this deep pain point that people think they need to do. And the fourth thing, to answer your question, is the guarantee. So the guarantee is 50-50, and it completely depends on where you're at in the business. If you are under 5,000 per month, I don't care what anyone tells you, you do not know what your market really wants. Because if you knew exactly what your market would want, everyone would be lining up to buy your thing, but they're not, right? So you need to do whatever you can to get in front of the market, and you need to be offering them a guarantee. Because, bro, think about it, like, you're not that experienced. And if you're not that experienced, there is more risk on their end. They're offering money plus the resource of time and whatever other resources that they're giving you for you to mess around with in hopes that you make them some type of money. So you need to do whatever you can to get them into your ecosystem and start speaking to them so you can really understand like the inside of their mind, their deepest desires, fears, insecurities, and it does need to get that deep where you understand through and through. Like, I launched an ad on Instagram just 2 days ago, and somebody commented, I don't know who this person is, by the way. In my ad, I was saying, if you watched these influencers and went down the rabbit hole of watching this influencer, you probably have an agency or a business only making around 5K per month. And somebody commented saying, you literally read my entire soul with this ad. He said, I started off by watching this influencer who I targeted in my ad and mentioned in my ad. I then started watching these other influencers who I also spoke about in my ad, to then start an agency, which I mentioned in my ad. And now I've been stuck at 4K per month with my agency. And in my ad, I obviously mentioned you're probably stuck around 5K per month. You don't get that level of detail if you don't understand how specific these things are.
Yeah, yeah, no, that makes complete sense. How did you learn so well about your target audience? How did you know to say those things, to target them so specifically? Because I know there's people listening to this right now, and I've been in that position too, when you're about to put an ad together and you know what you want to sell and you roughly know what you need to target, but you're not super aware of those pain points or those additional areas of information that you had there. So what do you think would be the best route to going and getting them?
So the best route to understanding these pain points is you just have to speak to these people. Like,
Right.
but you have to get them to want to speak to you, right? So you have this guarantee, so it's of no risk to them to just have that conversation in the first place. You probably won't close them if you're brand new, but at least you're having a conversation and understanding what it is that they want and what about the ad that they liked. So you need to speak directly to your market. And a lot of newer business owners, they're not able to speak directly to the market because their market isn't even paying attention to them. So that's something that needs to be, you need to have the cards in your favor. So if you are starting off, you have to have a money back guarantee because, again, like, it's risky working with you because you're new. But then obviously after you have a lot of case studies and testimonials that are solid, then you can remove the guarantee because you now have a proven offer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes much more sense.
Awesome. So now that we have like a base offer and you have your deliverables as well, because you've thought about exactly what someone would need to get from zero to wherever you're at with your offer, and you've thought about how you can deliver this to a 12-year-old where even they will be successful. Now you need to think about what works at scale. And this is very, 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 very important because I read a book by Claude C. Hopkins. It's called Scientific Advertising. And in the book, he said, if it will not work at large scale, it does not work on small scale. So a lot of the time, business owners feel super drained and burnt out, and they're only making about 5K per month, 10K per month, because they have an offer that's keeping them stuck at this level because it's not scalable, right? So you need to, before your business actually scales, you need to have it ready to scale. You need to have a 100K per month business for it to get to 100K per month. You can't have a business that you think will work at scale and where you're running around all day because it will keep you stuck forever. So you need to optimize for scale before you actually launch, if that makes sense. And the way you do that, honestly, you have to speak to business owners who are making a lot of money themselves, so you know exactly why their offer has scaled and why they don't get burnt out by having like a crap ton of clients and by making a lot of money in the process. So you need to have a scalable offer. Any idiot can make an offer, any idiot can distribute an offer to the marketplace, but a real intelligent business person needs to have an offer that will work at scale. And if you have not scaled an offer to past 10, 15, 20, 25K months, you don't know what a scalable offer is. So you need to reach out to someone, i.e. me, at rambo.content on Instagram, or drop a comment and I'll get back to you. So now that we have the scalable offer out of the way, cool. The next thing we need is marketing assets. So let's just look at the definition of assets. These things that you put together, they need to compound over time, right? Because the reason they need to compound over time is because business has exponential growth. You don't want to grow slowly, because that's not how business works. Business is always exponential growth. So we need to put things together that allow for that exponential growth to happen. And if we take a look at the definition of marketing is just the act of satisfying plus retaining customers. So retaining customers, you obviously do that through a great product. People always come back, and email marketing, stuff like that. But marketing equals satisfying the customer as well. And people become customers in their mind before they become customers in real life. So I'm going to repeat that. People become customers, your customers, in their mind before they hand over any bit of money to you. So we need to focus on this intention of the customer, the intent of customer. We need to harbor that intent, right? So marketing pillars, we need to harbor the intent of a customer in their mind and have these assets put together that help this customer become a customer in their mind before they hand over the money. That's the very specific thing that we're wanting to focus on with marketing assets. So to be honest, there's a ton of ways to market. You can do cold outreach, which does not work. Please don't do it. But some people make it work. It's not scalable. You don't want to do it. I've spoken to business owners that make hundreds of thousands per month, I think, and they have hundreds of thousands of followers. They have teams to do cold outreach, and they do cold outreach themselves. And they themselves on video have said it's not very scalable because you get action blocked. Also, calling business owners up, you're not making good use of your time. So cold outreach is out the way. You can make content, which is great. It's good. It's a good tool, but it's not necessarily a good tool to just constantly get leads, especially if you don't have a big audience. So the thing that will get you the most control, and you need to almost level up your thinking to even attempt this, is you need to run paid advertising, because you have control of every dollar you put in, and thus you have control of how many impressions you get, and you can control who you target with these paid advertising. So you run paid advertising, and by the way, paid advertising is not boosting a post. Please do not boost a post. You need to go to Meta Business Suite, set up an account, link your Facebook page, link your Instagram, and go into Ads Manager in there. Don't just boost a post. So we have our paid advertising, and a lot of the time, people think you can run a paid ad straight to your offer, and that's not the case. It won't work, especially if you're charging thousands and thousands of dollars without a brand. It's not going to work. You're too small to do that. So we need to have a whole process in place. So paid ads, we begin with on the top of the funnel. This thing here is a marketing asset because what you make it once and it constantly delivers you prospects over and over and over again. So you don't need to worry about it. It's an asset. It will scale over time. And it is the most scalable way to get customers in. Once you have this ad, you need to take it to something which gets people to know, like, and trust you. These are three very important things. And how people get to know, like, and trust you is by the content you put out. This is short form content, long form content, email content, any text you send them, literally anything. any type of communication between you and the prospect. And the whole point of this know, liking, and trusting thing is to get them to, it was quite self-explanatory, know, like, and trust you, right? So once they begin to know, like, and trust you with the content that you put out, that's when people begin getting ready to buy from you. So this is something that's rooted in biopsychology, and I'm going to give an analogy with iPhones. So let's just say you're using an Android. More often than not, you'll see some sort of marketing from Apple which gets you introduced to the idea of an iPhone. Let's just say you see an advertisement on Instagram. You see an iPhone, it's a very well put together video, and you like what you see. But more often than not, you won't click it the first time. But you see it again and again, and you start building up interest in your own mind, right? And after the interest starts building up, you might not even go onto the buy now page. You'll click onto their profile, and you'll see on Apple's page, it's a very cool thing they've done with their marketing strategy on content, is every single video has hashtag shot on iPhone to show you how great the camera quality is on Apple. So this is also why Samsung goes heavy on the zooms and this and the other, because they want to take away the audience Apple has built over time, but they won't because Apple's got such a long-standing brand. But anyway, I digress. You'll go on their content, your Instagram page, and you'll see their content, and it's really cool. And then what would you do? Your interest is being built up over time. You'll probably head over to YouTube and type in latest iPhone review, and you'll watch a 15, 20, 30-minute video, in-depth video of getting a review of this iPhone. And why this is powerful is because every single second you consume of their content is you preparing yourself to buy and convincing yourself, hey, this is a good idea. So the content is very, very important because you're nurturing these people. And as these people begin getting nurtured, that's when 90% of your sales will come in. Like 10% of your sales, there will be a select few people that buy your thing straight away. But 90% of these people need to be warmed up to buy your thing. And that's obviously nurturing. So once you have an offer that people want, you then need to put together marketing assets which will nurture these people. And alongside your content, by the way, you'll also want a funnel where it's just filled with testimonials to the brim and talking directly to a pain point. Because one thing that I found is when I ran my paid advertising is I had a click-through rate so I had a click-through rate of 5%, but only 1.5% of people were going to my funnel, which meant 3 to 4% of people were going to my profile, but I didn't have good enough content there to nurture those people to bring them back into my funnel. So a lot of people were falling out. And by the way, like this is the month I made 25K. So it still worked pretty well. But what happened was I still missed out on 75, 80, almost 90% of people because I just didn't focus on the content stuff. And that's something that obviously I'm doing right now. So if you want to maximize your chances of making a lot of money in 30 days, you need to have these things put together and they need to be assets. They can't just be things that you do once and then they don't compound over time. And the only things that really compound over time is advertising, because that is the only scalable thing, and content, any type of content that you need. Emails, short form, long form, podcasts like this one, literally anything. So we have an offer that's super, super exciting that people want. We have marketing assets that people also want. The third thing that you need is an exclusive sales process. And I don't say that to sound fancy. You need to have a sales process that is exclusive to you. Only you have this. Because with the offer and marketing assets, what we've done is we've gotten the eyeballs from the ad. We've got a lot of eyes looking at our offer. We've taken those eyeballs, we're warming them up, so they're almost ready to buy. And now it's time to grab the baseball bat, hit the ball so hard that we hit a home run and close a deal. And this, again, is done through a very, very unique sales process, and it has to be unique to you. So there's one thing that I want to preface with this. Anybody that gives you a sales script is a liar because they don't work. And the reason they don't work is a normal conversation is so dynamic, you can't actually predict what people would say. So if we're in the world of business, for example, a sales conversation where these people already have some resistance towards you, that will be even more dynamic because they're going to be wanting to weasel their way out of paying you money. So we need to have a sales process in place where we can get these prospects coming in through the door where they are ready to buy on call. And before they do that, you need to first of all start off with pre-call qualification. Please, under no circumstance, get on any calls with people that you know probably won't buy. It's very, very important that you protect your energy as a CEO. Because I don't think a CEO of any big company, Amazon, Apple, will get on a call with something if it's not worth some type of value to them. It has to be
Yeah.
worth a lot of money or something that will grow the business. And if it doesn't do the same for your business, do not get on that call. You need to protect your energy. It's a very, very important thing. So pre-call qualification, you first need to make sure that these guys are financially qualified. And the reason you want to make sure they're financially qualified is the most frustrating thing, especially if you start signing on clients, is or when you start getting on sales calls, is you'll get on calls with these people, and these guys, they don't have the money to pay you. So you would have wasted hours of your time just speaking to these prospects, and you'd be giving them value through the sales conversation, and they'd be learning a lot. But they're just taking energy away from you, which again, it's not scalable. You need to protect your energy so that you can continue growing and expanding as a business owner and as a person. So that's the number one thing. You need to make sure that they're financially qualified. The second thing is you need to make sure that they're actually your ideal prospect. I made a mistake a couple of months ago. I signed on a prospect that I shouldn't have signed on because they weren't exactly who I wanted to help, even though I knew I could help them. And what happened was they didn't even pay me what I was worth getting paid, and I delivered on everything I would have delivered on. And again, what happens with that? It's an unfair value exchange. They took everything. They also didn't get themselves the result because, to be honest, that mindset lacked, and they ghosted off the face of the planet. And I was left feeling ripped off because A, I didn't get paid, B, there was no communication, and C, it was a waste of my time.
Yeah, nah, definitely. I think as well, on your previous point on having like the CEO's mindset, you need to go into your business having the mindset that you are the CEO. You can't be the person that's wasting time on, pointless sales calls or doing things that's not fully serving you because, as you said, the CEO at Amazon isn't doing that, and that's why they're in the position that they're in. So if you really want to scale up and start making a lot more money and just be more productive with your time, you should view everything through that sort of lens.
Yeah, bro. It's like I don't understand. Well, I do understand why people do things that they know they shouldn't be doing, and it honestly does come from scarcity and like a lack mindset. But again, that's why like at the start of this episode, I said if these numbers scare you and these things scare you, you have to do some inner work to give yourself permission to do these big things because it's very doable, right? But anyway, to go back to the exclusive sales process. So pre-call qualification, make sure they are your ideal prospect. If they are not, do not get on the call, even if they will offer you the money, because it will be a nightmare and you would have regretted taking
Yeah.
the money in the first place. And B, make sure they're obviously financially qualified. So once you've qualified these prospects and they are fit to get on call with, you get on call with them. And here's something. Most people think with sales calls, they need to be good at objection handling. You don't. Do not put all your time and effort into getting really good at objection handling. You want to be pre-handling the objection during the discovery phase of the call. So just to give you a quick rundown, build rapport with a couple of questions at the start of the call, frame the call, and then you go straight into discovery. And in discovery, how you pre-handle objections is by asking good, intelligent questions. So any objection that you can get, and there's 11 by the way, I'm not going to go into them now, but to give a couple of examples is a timing objection, they can't commit right now. Oh, it's too expensive, that's an objection. I've got to ask my partner. These type of objections are common. So you need to ask these questions in the discovery phase to pre-handle them so they don't come up later after you pitch, right?
Yeah.
So again, to give like an example of pre-handling an objection, you can just say to someone, So, hey, how much have you made in your business in the last 30 days if you're in the B2B industry? Or if they are if you're in B2C and you're like a spiritual coach, for example, you can say something like, okay, so how's your job been serving you recently? Do you feel like you're making enough from it? Just you can ask questions like these to gauge, okay, do these people have money to pay? And again, don't feel like a bad person by trying to figure out the answers because your business is here to serve them, but you need to make sure the value exchange is fair. Otherwise, you are left feeling drained and giving a subpar service. So this is a very important thing. So that's an example of financially qualifying them. And if they are not qualified, and if you think an objection will come up later after you've asked them in discovery, just end the call there. You don't need to waste 40 minutes of your time because that's 40 minutes worth of energy you're putting into this thing where you could have been putting that energy into building more marketing assets because those things grow over time. You know, those things exponentially grow over time and they compound. So stop pre-handling objections in discovery. And what will happen is, and trust me, because you'll be surprised when this happens to you, is after you pitch, a lot of the time, if you've done a good job in discovery for about 20, 25, maybe 30 minutes, you'll have people that actively try to come up with objections, but they can't because you've done such a great job at pre-handling all objections. And then they'll have no choice but to pay you because they know that's the right thing to do. You know, and remember this as well, guys. Like, have a bit of empathy when you speak to prospects because more often than not, people's brains are designed to keep them safe and not happy. But safe doesn't necessarily mean abundant and happy, right? Like people want to latch onto like the little money that they have because they're scared of letting it go because they're not aware that letting go of the money for you to serve them with your business will actually make them more money in the long run. So have a little bit of empathy, speak to these guys, you know, go slow. But remember, you know that your service will be the best thing for them. So don't forget to go to war and don't forget to hold people accountable for the BS excuses they throw your way with their objections. A lot of the time, if you do a good job in discovery, you will only be met with really one objection afterwards, which is the final little thing you have to handle with a lot of empathy and a lot of care for them to finally convert and hand over money. So that is genuinely the 3-step formula to making a lot of money. There is only 3 things that you need to do, which is put together an offer, put together marketing assets, and you need to put together your own exclusive sales process. And there's not a script that I can give you. You need to put it together you need help doing it if you haven't got one already, but you need to put it together yourself. And one final thing on the exclusive sales process as well, please get rid of any pitch decks. If you are presenting a PowerPoint or anything like that, completely get rid of it. You don't want to show any of that stuff there. You just want to have it be a normal sales conversation, and you want to have that bit of finesse where you can navigate in and out of tricky situations and lower the temperature in the room so that people feel happy and comfortable to hand you over a whole bunch of money. So, Aaron, does everything make sense on
It does to me.
going
It does to
building
me.
scalable offer?
It does to me. I know how to
Yeah,
scale now.
scalable
I'm
offer.
sure, I'm sure everyone who's listening does.
Awesome, bro. Awesome. So we have a scalable offer. We've got our marketing assets put together. And the final thing is an exclusive sales process. And if you guys need help putting these things together, because trust me, you probably do if you're not hitting 5-10K months, go onto Instagram at rambo.content. Just DM me and I promise I'll help you out. Or drop a comment. Or if you guys are already making above 5K per month and you want to scale to at least 10, 15, 20, 25K per month, go to this description, book in a call with me, and we'll be good to go.
And subscribe.